Imagine that there is a very special, often forgotten secret that can bring you closer to God. Fasting is an ancient practice that has been used throughout the centuries by various religious figures as a way to connect more deeply with the divine. In this video, we will explore what the Bible says about the importance of fasting in the life of a Christian, and how this practice can help us strengthen our faith and our relationship with God. Welcome to Daily Biblical History. Today, we will explore an inspiring message to strengthen your faith and bring peace to your heart. Leave a like to support our channel and subscribe if you are not already subscribed, so you don't miss any of the motivational content we post here. In Part 01, we will explore the importance of fasting in the life of a Christian, as taught by Jesus in Matthew 6:16. In this passage from the Bible, Jesus emphasizes that fasting should not be an ostentatious practice, done to be seen by others and receive praise. He emphasizes that fasting is an intimate act between the individual and God, where the motivation must be pure and focused on spiritual pursuit, away from human eyes. Therefore, when fasting, we must do so with humility and sincerity, not seeking external recognition, but rather a deeper connection with the divine. In Part 2, we will explore how the prophet Daniel used fasting as a vital spiritual practice in his life. In the book of Daniel, chapter 10, verses 2 and 3, Daniel abstains from desirable foods, such as meat and wine, for 3 full weeks, while seeking divine wisdom and understanding through intensive prayer. Daniel's period of fasting and prayer highlights the powerful combination of fasting and seeking God's presence to receive revelation and strengthen faith. Like Daniel, many other biblical examples highlight how fasting combined with prayer paves the way for divine intervention and spiritual insights. Fasting is not just a physical abstinence. It is an act of closing the mouth to speak more clearly to God, emptying the body to fill the spirit, and strengthening the spiritual connection with the divine. In Part 3, we will explore how fasting can be a form of solidarity and empathy with those who are suffering deprivation. As we fast, we temporarily experience deprivation of food or worldly pleasures, which allows us to develop greater understanding and compassion for those who face ongoing deprivation. This shared experience can inspire practical actions of relief and advocacy, transforming fasting into a powerful tool for service and ministry. Incorporating fasting into our spiritual lives not only helps us follow a biblical example, but also opens the door to profound personal and communal transformation. Fasting is not just a discipline of denial, it is a celebration of dependence and trust in God, providing opportunities to cultivate a more open and compassionate heart. In Part 4, we will explore how fasting was an essential practice in the life of Elijah, one of the most well-known prophets of the Old Testament. In 1 Kings 19, we see how Elijah fasted for 40 days and 40 nights while traveling to Mount Horeb. This period of fasting strengthened Elijah for his encounter with God on the mountain, where he received divine guidance for his mission. Elijah's story illustrates how fasting can prepare someone to receive revelation and face important spiritual challenges. Like Elijah, many other biblical characters used fasting as a powerful spiritual tool to connect with God and seek guidance at crucial moments in their lives. In Part 5, we will explore how fasting is a practice that challenges us to cultivate a broken and humble heart, prepared to receive divine blessings. By fasting, we are not only seeking to see God, but we are also creating a heart that recognizes our need and dependence on Him. The act of self-denial during fasting teaches us about sacrifice and redemption, central themes of the gospel. It's important to remember that fasting should not be used as a way to seek approval or admiration from others. Jesus warns us in Matthew 6:16 about the importance of keeping fasting a private and personal practice, away from the eyes of others. Historically, many important figures have misunderstood this guideline and used fasting to gain social status rather than to seek true communion with God. In contrast, figures such as the prophet Daniel fasted in secret, seeking divine wisdom and understanding. Daniel 10:2-3. Therefore, when fasting, we should keep this practice as something between us and God, away from external vanity and focused on spiritual renewal and the search for a deeper connection with the divine. In Part 06, we will explore how fasting can be a practice of self-knowledge and spiritual transformation. By fasting, we invite ourselves to enter a space of deep reflection about our motivations, desires, and dependence on God. The act of temporarily giving up physical food leads us to confront our weaknesses and addictions, revealing areas in our lives that need to be purified and renewed. During fasting, we may encounter repressed emotions, negative patterns of thought and behavior, as well as the need for forgiveness and inner healing. This introspective process allows us to recognize our human limitations and strengthen our spiritual connection with the divine. In this way, fasting becomes a personal journey of self-discovery and spiritual growth, where we are invited to surrender to the sovereignty of God in all areas of our lives. In Part 07, we will explore how fasting can be a practice of self-knowledge and spiritual transformation. By fasting, we invite ourselves to enter a space of deep reflection about our motivations, desires, and dependence on God. The act of temporarily giving up physical food leads us to confront our weaknesses and addictions, revealing areas in our lives that need to be purified and renewed. During fasting, we may encounter repressed emotions, negative patterns of thought and behavior, as well as the need for forgiveness and inner healing. This introspective process allows us to recognize our human limitations and strengthen our spiritual connection with the divine. In this way, fasting becomes a personal journey of self-discovery and spiritual growth, where we are invited to surrender to the sovereignty of God in all areas of our lives. In Part 08, we will explore how fasting can be a practice of self-knowledge and spiritual transformation. By fasting, we invite ourselves to enter a space of deep reflection about our motivations, desires, and dependence on God. The act of temporarily giving up physical food leads us to confront our weaknesses and addictions, revealing areas in our lives that need to be purified and renewed. During fasting, we may encounter repressed emotions, negative patterns of thought and behavior, as well as the need for forgiveness and inner healing. This introspective process allows us to recognize our human limitations and strengthen our spiritual connection with the divine. In this way, fasting becomes a personal journey of self-discovery and spiritual growth, where we are invited to surrender to the sovereignty of God in all areas of our lives. By integrating fasting into our spiritual lives on a regular basis, we can discover new dimensions of our faith and ways of living that enrich our lives and the lives of those around us. Fasting not only strengthens our connection with God, but it also challenges us to look beyond ourselves and consider the needs of others. When we fast with an open and compassionate heart, we are inspired to act in the interests of justice, compassion, and solidarity. This practice prompts us to reflect on how we can be agents of positive change in our world, actively seeking ways to serve those in need and promote the well-being of our community. Fasting, then, is not just an individual spiritual exercise, but an opportunity to become instruments of God's love in the world, bringing hope and relief to those who need it most. As we conclude this journey of reflection and spiritual practice on fasting, I invite you to consider how this ancient discipline can impact not only your spiritual life, but also your daily interactions and understanding of the world around you. Fasting is more than abstaining from food. It is an invitation to profound inner transformation and a renewed commitment to divine values. By integrating fasting into your spiritual routine, you not only strengthen your connection with God, but you also become an agent of positive change in society. May this ancient practice be a source of inspiration for you to live with compassion, justice, and gratitude, reflecting the teachings of love and service found in the sacred scriptures. May fasting be a path to constant spiritual renewal and a tangible expression of your commitment to the pursuit of truth and goodness in all areas of your life. If you've never fasted before, consider starting with a short one-meal fast. Why not start this practice today? The practice of fasting can be transformative in your spiritual life. May this time dedicated to seeking God strengthen your faith and renew your spirit. Are you enjoying the message? Share this video with someone who needs to hear this motivational word today and leave your comment. We want to know how this message impacted your life.